My golden child sister got me kicked out of the house. Years later, my parents lost everything because of her and are begging me for help. What about my party? This was my question when my sister, Isabella, my parents' favorite child, told my parents that she was thinking she could host her 21st birthday party here in our house and wanted to invite her whole sorority and friends. Mom started saying how they could set up in the backyard and maybe get some catering as well. I've spent my entire life living in the shadow of my perfect older sister, Isabella. My parents have always made it clear who their favorite child was. Every conversation at family gatherings eventually turned into a celebration of Isabella's latest achievements. Isabella could do no wrong in their eyes. My birthday is in 3 days, and for once in my life, I decided to do something special for myself. I invited friends, some family members, basically anyone who'd ever shown me genuine support. For once, I thought I'd get to feel special. Then yesterday, Isabella announced at dinner that she wanted to use our house for her 21st birthday party. Her birthday is just 3 days before mine, and apparently turning 21 is way more important than turning 18. When I showed them everything I'd planned, Mom just gave me that look, the exact same one she always uses when I dare to challenge Isabella. She told me I'd have to cancel because it was an important milestone for my sister. I tried to stay calm. I pulled out my phone and showed them all the receipts, the confirmations, everything I'd arranged. I explained that I'd already paid for everything, the band, the cake, the decorations, with my own money from my photography business. I told them I couldn't just cancel. Dad dismissed my concerns, saying money wasn't the issue. He insisted Isabella's birthday was a special occasion. When I pointed out that I was turning 18 and had never asked for a big party before, Isabella just rolled her eyes and said I was being dramatic. She even made a snide comment about how my friends wouldn't fill up the house anyway. That's when I lost it. Years of pent-up frustration just came pouring out. I threw everything back at them. How Isabella got a massive sweet 16 while I got a cupcake and a pat on the head. How she got a car for her 18th while I got a used camera from the pawn shop. I reminded them how they missed my high school graduation for her college campus tour, and how they skipped my photography exhibition that I'd worked on for months, but drove 6 hours to watch her debate tournament. Mom tried to interrupt, saying it wasn't fair and that Isabella worked very hard. I shot back, asking if I didn't work hard too. I reminded them that I'd started a business at 16, was making my own money, and had even won a state competition. But none of that mattered because it wasn't Isabella doing it. Dad's face turned this scary shade of red. He slammed his hand on the table so hard the plates rattled. He started yelling about how they'd given me everything, and this was how I repaid them, with a jealous tantrum. I told them they hadn't given me everything. They'd given Isabella everything. I was just the backup child they kept around in case she disappointed them. Isabella just stood there with this smug little smile, like she was enjoying watching me finally crack. That's when Dad dropped the bomb. He told me if I couldn't appreciate my family and my place in it, maybe I shouldn't be part of it at all. He told me to get out. Mom tried to interject, saying I was just being dramatic, but Dad cut her off. He said he was done with my attitude, and if I couldn't be happy for my sister's special day, I could leave. I stood there in shock for a moment, then ran upstairs and called my Aunt Kathy, 43F, Mom's younger sister, in tears. She immediately offered to let me stay with her and Uncle Richard, 46M. When I came back downstairs with my overnight bag and told them I was leaving, Mom actually had the nerve to say I was ruining Isabella's birthday week. Dad wouldn't even look at me. I spent that night packing while Isabella kept walking past my room, making these little comments about how I was always trying to steal her spotlight and how much better her party would be now that she had the whole house. Mom kept coming in to alternately guilt trip me and tell me I was overreacting. Aunt Kathy picked me up the next morning. As we drove away, I could see Mom and Isabella standing in the doorway, already probably planning how to make Isabella's party even bigger now that they didn't have to worry about mine. It's been 3 days. My birthday came and went without a single message from my parents or sister. Aunt Kathy and Uncle Richard got me a cake and took me out to dinner, showing more care in one evening than my parents had in years. I've been crying on and off, not because I miss them, but because I finally realized how little they actually cared about me. My phone's been exploding with messages from extended family. Some are supporting me, saying it's about time someone stood up to my parents' obvious favoritism. Others are calling me selfish for ruining family harmony. Isabella's been posting non-stop on social media about how excited she is for her party, tagging everyone except me. I don't know what happens next. Aunt Kathy says I can stay as long as I need, and Uncle Richard is helping me look into college applications. For the first time in my life, I feel like someone's actually putting me first. But I keep wondering, was I wrong to finally stand up for myself? Should I have just accepted my role as the forgotten child and kept the peace? Update 1. It's been 2 months since my last post, and everything just got 1,000 times worse. Uncle Richard, the man who became more of a father to me in these past months than Oliver ever was, passed away 3 days ago from aggressive pancreatic cancer. None of us even knew he was sick. He'd been hiding his symptoms for months, always brushing off his fatigue as just working too hard. The last few days have been a blur. I was actually the one who found him. He'd been helping me with a college application essay in his home office, took a break to get some water, and collapsed in the kitchen. By the time the ambulance arrived, it was too late. The doctor said the cancer had spread everywhere. He'd probably been in pain for months but never said a word. Yesterday was the funeral, and it was like being in some twisted parallel universe. My parents showed up, of course. Can't have the neighbors thinking they're not the perfect family. Mom spent the whole time doing this theatrical crying thing. You know the type. Dabbing at her eyes with a tissue while making sure everyone could see how devastated she was. Dad just stood there like a statue, staring straight ahead and checking his phone every 5 minutes. The worst part? Isabella didn't even bother to show up. She's in Miami with her boyfriend Charlie, posting bikini pictures on Instagram with captions like "living my best life" and "blessed" while we were literally lowering Uncle Richard into the ground. She even had the nerve to post a story about how sad she was about missing her favorite uncle's funeral, followed immediately by a boomerang of her clinking champagne glasses at some beach club. Aunt Kathy is completely broken, not just because of Richard, though that's devastating enough, but because her own sister chose to support Isabella's beach vacation over being there for family. I overheard her on the phone with Mom the night before the funeral. "Aunt Kathy, Evelyn, she has to come. He was her uncle." Mom: "Well, the tickets are non-refundable, and you know how Isabella gets when her plans are disrupted." Aunt Kathy: "My husband is dead, and you're worried about refundable tickets?" Mom: "Don't be dramatic, Kathy. Isabella will pay her respects aspects in her own way. I've been staying with Aunt Kathy through all of this, trying to help however I can. She keeps finding little notes Richard left around the house, reminders to fix things, grocery lists, half-finished crossword puzzles. Yesterday, she found a birthday card he'd already bought for her next month. She broke down completely. During the funeral reception, Mom actually had the audacity to approach me. I thought maybe, just maybe, she was finally going to check on how I was doing or apologize for everything. But no, she cornered me by the refreshments table and started in with, "Mom, you know Alex, with Richard gone, Kathy's going to need time to grieve. She can't be responsible for you right now. You should come home." Me, are you seriously trying to use Uncle Richard's death to manipulate me? Mom, don't be dramatic. I'm thinking about what's best for everyone. Your sister misses you. Me, my sister who couldn't even be bothered to come to the funeral? Mom, she's going through a lot right now. This vacation was very important for her mental health. I just walked away. The sheer audacity of trying to use this tragedy to get me back under their control. The past few days have been spent helping Aunt Kathy sort through Richard's things. We found his old journals, photos from their travels, even some letters he wrote to Kathy that she never knew about. He'd been planning to give them to her on their anniversary. In one of them, he wrote about how proud he was that I was standing up for myself, how he wished he'd done the same with his own family years ago. Aunt Kathy keeps apologizing for leaning on me during this time, saying it's not fair to put all this on an 18-year-old. But honestly, I'm grateful I can be here for her the way she's been here for me. While Isabella's posting beach selfies and my parents are trying to manipulate the situation to their advantage, I'm helping plan memorial services and sorting through insurance paperwork. It's strange how death strips away all the pretense and shows you who people really are. My parents, who always preached about family loyalty, couldn't even put aside their pride for one day. Isabella, who always talked about being the perfect daughter, couldn't be bothered to show up for her own uncle's funeral. And here I am, the supposedly selfish and dramatic one, being the only person besides Aunt Kathy who seems to actually care that we lost someone incredible. Update 2. 6 months have passed since Uncle Richard's funeral, and just when I thought my family couldn't surprise me anymore, they proved me wrong again. Yesterday, I was scrolling through Instagram when I saw it, Isabella's engagement announcement. To clarify, this isn't even the same guy she was with in Miami during the funeral. Apparently, Charlie dumped her 3 months ago after catching her texting her ex, and within weeks she was dating this new guy, Peter. The engagement post was peak Isabella, professional photographer, sunset beach backdrop, elaborate setup with rose petals and candles. She tagged everyone in the family except me, of course. The caption was what really got me. So blessed to start this new chapter with the love of my life, surrounded by my amazing family who have always supported my dreams. But here's what's really wild. My parents are acting like this guy Peter is the second coming or something. He's some wannabe tech entrepreneur who's already failed at 3 different startups, but Mom and Dad are throwing money at them like there's no tomorrow. Aunt Kathy showed me the family group chat messages. Mom, Peter and Isabella are such visionaries. They're working on a revolutionary new app. Dad, so proud of our future tech moguls. Just transferred startup funds for their new venture. Random relative. Didn't their last 3 companies fail? Mom, they're learning valuable lessons. That's what real entrepreneurs do. Meanwhile, I'm over here actually running a successful business. My photography studio is turning a real profit. I just booked my 5th wedding this month, and I'm getting regular corporate clients too. But when Aunt Kathy mentioned my success in the family chat, Mom just replied with cool and immediately went back to gushing about Isabella and Peter's latest doomed venture. I found out they've already dumped almost $100,000 into Isabella and Peter's failed startups. The first one was some kind of social media platform for pets that lasted 3 months. The second was a subscription box service for luxury tea that went under after 2 months because they spent all the money on marketing and forgot about inventory. The third was an app that was supposed to predict the weather based on how many birds you see in the sky or something equally ridiculous. But the real kicker came when I saw the engagement party photos. They rented out this expensive venue, invited literally everyone in the family, except me, obviously, and Mom even wore her special occasion pearls, the ones she always said would be passed down to her daughters. Plural. Guess that's one less family heirloom I need to worry about. Isabella's been telling everyone she's an only child. I know this because my cousin Sarah messaged me asking if we were actually related, or if she'd imagined having another cousin. Apparently, when someone at the engagement party mentioned me, Isabella just talked over them and changed the subject. The petty part of me wants to post all the screenshots I have of Isabella's drunken texts from last year, where she admitted she was only dating Charlie to make her ex jealous, or maybe share the evidence of her cheating on Charlie that led to their breakup, but I'm not going to. Not because I care about protecting her, but because I've realized I don't need to play those games anymore. Because here's the thing, I'm actually doing really well. My photography business isn't just surviving, it's thriving. I'm maintaining a 4.0 GPA in college while running a successful company. I've moved into my own small apartment, though I still have dinner with Aunt Kathy 3 times a week, and I've met someone. His name is Nate, 22 million, and he's a graphic designer who initially reached out about collaborating on a project. He's talented, kind, and actually supports my ambitions instead of trying to overshadow them. When I told him my whole story, he didn't give me the usual pity look. Instead, he said I was one of the strongest people he'd ever met, and asked to see my photography portfolio. Last week, he helped me redesign my business website. We ended up talking until 3 a.m. about our dreams and goals. He told me about his own complicated family situation, and how he had to distance himself from toxic relatives to succeed. For the first time in my life, I feel like I'm with someone who really sees me, not as someone's sister or daughter, but as my own person. The old me would have been devastated about being excluded from Isabella's engagement celebrations, but now, I realize I don't need their validation anymore. While they're throwing money at Isabella's pipe dreams and pretending I don't exist, I'm building something real, something that's entirely mine, and that's worth more than any family party I could be invited to. Update 3. I wasn't planning to post again so soon, but what happened yesterday still has me shaking with anger. After almost a year of complete silence, I got a call from Mom. At first, I didn't even recognize her number. I deleted it months ago, but there she was, crying hysterically about how Dad needed urgent heart surgery, and they needed financial help. My heart dropped. Despite everything, he's still my father. I almost transferred money right then, but something in Mom's voice seemed off. It was the same tone she used when she was trying to manipulate me into giving up my birthday plans for Isabella. I talked to Nate about it after the call. He's worked in medical administration before and offered to help me understand what kind of surgery Dad supposedly needed. That's when things got weird. Mom kept changing the details every time I asked for specifics. First, it was a triple bypass. Then suddenly it was a valve replacement. Then something about a pacemaker. Nate helped me do some digging. We called the hospital where Dad supposedly had his consultation. They had no record of him. We checked with their insurance provider. I still had the details from when I was on their plan. No pre-authorization requests for any heart procedures. So I did something I probably shouldn't have. I called Dad's secretary at work. She was surprised to hear from me but confirmed Dad was fine, had just played golf that morning, and was currently in a meeting. No health issues, no surgery plans, nothing. When I confronted Mom about lying, she exploded. The crying stopped instantly, replaced by this cold fury I remembered from my childhood. She called me a heartless bitch for not wanting to help my sister. Turns out the money wasn't for any surgery. It was for Isabella and Peter's newest business venture, their fourth failed startup attempt. Dad got on the phone too, saying family helps family and how dare I question them. I recorded the whole conversation because honestly, it was so absurd I needed proof it actually happened. Mom, your sister and Peter have a brilliant new business idea. Me, so you lied about Dad being sick to get money for another startup? Dad, don't be dramatic. We knew you wouldn't understand the urgency of this opportunity. Me, you literally made up a heart surgery. Mom, because you're too selfish to support your sister's dreams after everything we've done for you. Me, what exactly have you done for me? Dad, we put a roof over your head, fed you. Me, you mean the basic legal requirements of being parents? Mom, Isabella would help if you needed it. Me, Isabella doesn't even admit she has a sister anymore. I sent the recording to Aunt Kathy, who absolutely lost it. She called Mom and finally said everything she'd been holding back since Uncle Richard's funeral. The fight was epic. I could hear Mom screaming through the phone about ungrateful children and family loyalty. Aunt Kathy just calmly listed every instance of their favoritism she'd witnessed over the years, ending with how dare you use a fake illness to scam your own daughter. Mom's response? She sent a mass text to the entire extended family about how her daughters and sister had turned against her, complete with crying emojis and Bible verses about honoring your parents. The family's split now, some saying I should forgive them because they're still my parents, others horrified that they'd lie about something as serious as heart surgery. Isabella posted a vague Instagram story about toxic people trying to hold you back from your dreams, tagged with number entrepreneur life and number startup grind. Apparently, their new business idea is some kind of app that helps you pick out clothes based on your zodiac sign. They need $50,000 for initial development, which explains the desperate attempt to guilt me into helping. Nate held me while I cried last night, not because I was sad, but because I was angry. Angry that they thought so little of me that they'd try such an obvious manipulation. Angry that they'd use something as serious as illness to try to get money. But mostly angry at myself for still being affected by their games. But you know what? This was actually a gift. Any lingering doubt I had about cutting contact is gone. They showed me exactly who they are. People who would fake a life-threatening illness to get money for their golden child's ridiculous business schemes. I don't need that in my life. Update 4. This is probably my final update, and honestly, it feels surreal writing it. 6 months after the fake heart surgery drama, I got another call from my parents. But this time, it was Dad crying. Real tears, not Mom's theatrical sobs. Isabella and Peter have disappeared. Apparently, they emptied the joint business account my parents had set up for their latest startup, the Zodiac fashion app that never launched, maxed out several credit cards they'd co-signed for, and vanished. No note, no explanation, just gone. They even cleaned out Isabella's college fund, which my parents had been letting her use as startup capital. The full extent of the damage is staggering. Dad broke down and told me everything. $100,000 for the first 3 failed startups, $50,000 for the Zodiac app venture, $75,000 from Isabella's college fund, $45,000 in maxed out credit cards, $30,000 loan against their house for emergency business expenses. They're facing foreclosure on the house. The bank's already sent notices, and they can't make the payments. Mom had to sell her precious pearls, the ones she'd promised to Isabella. The irony isn't lost on me. Dad was sobbing on the phone, saying things like we were wrong and we should have listened and please help us. For a moment, I felt this weird urge to step in and fix everything. Old habits die hard, I guess. But then he said something that snapped me back to reality. If you help us now, we can all be a family again. We'll make it up to you. Isabella made some mistakes, but when she comes back, that's when I realized, even now, they're still waiting for Isabella to come back and make everything okay. They still see me as the backup plan, the safety net, the responsible one they can fall back on when their golden child fails them. I told Dad I couldn't help. When he started talking about family obligation, I simply hung up. Aunt Kathy hugged me afterward and said she was proud of how far I'd come from the scared teenager who showed up at her door that night. My photography business is booming now. I just opened my first real studio, and Nate helped me design the space. We're talking about moving in together once his lease is up. Sometimes I look at my life and can hardly believe how much has changed in just over a year. Last week, I drove past my old house. There's a foreclosure sign in the yard now. Mom's prized rose bushes are dying, and Dad's perfectly maintained lawn is overgrown. I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no sadness, no anger. Just acceptance that this chapter of my life is finally, truly over. Aunt Kathy asked if I wanted to take one last look inside before it sells, maybe grab any childhood memories I'd left behind. But I declined. Everything I need, everything that matters, I already have. My cameras, my business, my relationship with Nate, my bond with Aunt Kathy, these are worth more than any childhood mementos. Isabella's still posting on Instagram from somewhere in Europe, all glossy travel photos and inspirational quotes about following your dreams. She hasn't mentioned our parents once. I wonder if she even knows about the foreclosure, or if she cares. But that's not my problem anymore. I'm done being the responsible one, the backup plan, the safety net. I've built my own life, and it's more than enough. Final update. Well, Reddit, this is definitely my last update. I thought the drama was over, but my family had to try one final manipulation tactic at my wedding yesterday. Things have been quiet for a few months since my parents lost their house. They've been renting a small apartment, and I heard through Aunt Kathy that they're both working retail jobs to pay off the debt debt Isabella and Peter left them with. Nate and I planned a small garden wedding. Nothing extravagant, just close friends and family who've actually been there for us. Aunt Kathy was supposed to walk me down the aisle. The morning was perfect. Beautiful weather, flowers exactly as planned, everything going smoothly. Then, just as our guests were being seated, one of my bridesmaids spotted them, Mom and Dad, trying to sneak in through the garden's side entrance. They weren't invited, obviously. Mom was wearing her church clothes and clutching her Bible, her go-to prop when she's planning to make a scene about family values. Dad was in his old suit from work, the one he used to wear when he was still a respected businessman instead of a retail worker. At first, they tried the whole, "we're here for family reconciliation" act. Mom was crying about forgiveness and how families should be together on wedding days. Thankfully, I'm not the naive 18-year-old I was when this all started. After everything they've pulled, I'd hired security specifically for this possibility. They were removed before they could cause a scene. The last thing I saw was Mom dramatically crying about her baby girl's wedding day. But you know what the crazy part is? Their drama didn't touch me at all. I got married surrounded by people who actually love me. Aunt Kathy's speech made everyone cry. Happy tears. Nate's family has been amazing. His mom gave me his grandmother's bracelet to wear, saying she'd been saving it for the daughter she always wanted. After the ceremony, Aunt Kathy gave me something I never expected. A letter from Uncle Richard. He'd written it the week before he died and asked her to save it for my wedding day. I broke down reading it. He wrote about how proud he was of me for breaking the cycle of manipulation, for choosing to build a life based on real love instead of obligation. His last line was, "Sometimes the family you choose is more real than the family you're born into." That letter is getting framed and hung in my new home office. Did I mention my photography business is opening a second studio next month? It's the perfect reminder of how far I've come and who really helped me get here. Looking back at my first post, I can hardly believe I was that scared teenager worried about ruining family harmony. My life now is better than I ever imagined it could be. I have a successful business, a wonderful husband, a beautiful home near Aunt Kathy, and most importantly, peace.